Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. I thought the best way to start 2021 off would be with an updated setup tour. Loads has changed since my last video, and that video performed really well, so thank you for that. I thought it'd be a great way to go over what we've had and how it's been going for me and all the new stuff we've got as well. If you haven't watched the old one, don't worry, everything will be covered in this video. And if you have watched the old one, then stick around because I'm going to be updating you on how them parts worked out for me and all the new parts as well. Apart from the desk, chair and audio setup, everything else is new, so why don't we take a look? So starting with the desk, we still have the Karlby with a walnut finish, and it's been very good to me. It's a little bit more expensive than the particle board IKEA desks you can get. I am, however, quite surprised by how soft the wood is. I don't know if I'm just fairly clumsy or being dramatic, but every time something light seems to hit it, it seems to leave quite a big dent. Either way, as a whole, it still looks fantastic. I think it's a 186cm version. It can fit 3 monitors and my PC on pretty comfortably, as you can see. Keeping the desktop off the floor are these two Oddvald trestles, and they were £12 or $15 each, and I'd say they're worth around that. They do look pretty cool, but there's still part of me that doesn't put my full trust in them. When I stand up and nudge the desk slightly, they make a really uneasy creaking noise, and they seem to move ever so slightly backwards and forwards. I was pretty apprehensive to put my PC up on the desk, but here we are. Would I recommend them? Probably not. Do they look pretty cool? Yeah, I'd say so. Another thing about them is there's no flat back or paneling to hide any of your cables behind, so our cable management game has gone up significantly this year. I got myself some reusable cable ties, some heavy duty Velcro and some J channels, and spent a good 4 to 5 hours managing all my cables. You can see like under my desk a little bit in this shot here, and not that many cables are apparent, so I am really happy with how it turned out. Moving on to another thing that's remained the same in my setup, and this is the Ergo Chair 2, and it still feels the exact same as the day I bought it. The mesh is, well, still buoyant, springy, taut. I don't know what you'd say is good mesh, but the mesh feels exactly the same. The butt cushion hasn't got me moving from one cheek to the other yet to try and relieve some of the aches, so I think that's a good sign, and I've spent good 16-hour days in this chair without getting up a lot at all. Anyway, it helps me retain really decent posture when I want to work, and when I want to relax, well, you can do that as well, which is really important for me in a multi-use setup. And in comparison to my old gaming chair, which bottomed out entirely, so you essentially had your cheeks on plastic, I feel like I've come a long way. Let's get on to the last things that remain the same, and that is my microphone, my audio interface, and my headset, or just my audio setup in general. I'm still rocking the AT2020, and so far it's suited every need I've used it for. I don't see it ever losing any sort of quality anytime soon. And when it comes to audio interfaces, this is the Behringer UM2. It's been really great to me, although it is an absolute budget basement audio interface which has the sole purpose of transferring your XLR signal to a digital USB signal. It's been perfect for just that. It's not the absolute cleanest output, but if you're looking to get into the XLR environment for quite a low cost, yeah, I would definitely recommend it for the price. Saying that though, I do have a Go XLR Mini on the way. It was on sale on Amazon and I couldn't resist. Alright, and here comes the new stuff. We're going to start off nicely with the peripherals, and I feel like I've got a really cool theme going on here. For a keyboard, I'm currently using the Varmilo MA87M. It's the Beijing Opera edition, and Varmilo call themselves keyboard artists, and on this keyboard here, yeah, I think that's fair to say. It's by far the best looking keyboard I've had out of the box. And that's not where the by far ends. One of its unique parts, marketing gimmicks, or sales points is the fact that it has ECV2 switches. Now these have electrocapacitors in which don't actually touch. They don't physically touch like a gator on leaf would in a switch. Instead they work on proximity, and this is supposed to result in a very smooth switch, and well, yeah, it does. This keyboard suits my current theme. It's got a beautiful art style. And when I said that the by fars don't end yet, it has the best stabilizers by far that I've ever had in an out-of-the-box keyboard. This vastly exceeds the Anpro 2. They're so solid. Would I say that it's the absolute best value keyboard for its price? No, but is it fun to use? Yeah. Now let's talk about the mouse, and this is a big one for me. The build quality is phenomenal, it feels great, it quotes under 63 grams on their site, some people have even said it's 60 grams, and for context, I charged it on the 21st of December and didn't have to plug it in charge again on the 5th of January, and it still had 17% battery. The fact they can fit that, Lightspeed wireless, a Hero sensor in a mouse for, what, around 60 grams just blows my mind. Now, this doesn't come without its price attached. When I pre-ordered this, I think it was around £130, but for good reason, and it hasn't disappointed. If you don't believe or trust me yet, you can go over to Rocket Jump Ninja's mouse guide, which is a guide I swear by, and it is his #1 mouse. One of the biggest questions when it comes to my setup is, what is your mouse pad? And This was a limited edition mousepad purchased from keygem.store. I don't think they have any intention on making them again. The print seems high quality, the stitching seems good. Happy days. Enough about peripherals, let's move on to the lighting. And behind me, that big light box you can see, inside that is a newer SL60W video light. It's a remote controlled video light and it will stay on like that all day. It produces good quality light, it's very bright, I think it's daylight temperature, and this is very important to me, both one, because I film at my desk, and two, because, well, I'm in the UK and it gets very dark very early. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say it's pitch black by about 4:30. This makes me feel like I've got a little bit of sunshine still in my room. It serves a purpose both for my sanity and for my video work. The red Rgb strip you can see lighting up the radiator I wish that wasn't there is just a cheap one from Amazon. I don't even think it stretches the whole length of the desk. This is actually the thing I'm looking to upgrade in the next few days, and I was kind of considering going with the Govee Dreamcolor strip. Blue light that you can see currently serving as a monitor backlight is a Yeelight RGBW bulb. The RGB is obviously full control over the color spectrum, and then the W is full control over the white spectrum. And by that it means you can go from a very warm white, like what's being produced here, to a colder white like what's being produced out of that video light up there. This is fantastic if you're just looking to take away some of that eye strain from your monitors, or you want more of like a professional look. I think it's safe to say we've covered lighting and we can indeed move on to the PC. As stated in my last video, we were well overdue an upgrade, and to be honest, this came at the perfect time. Let's run over some of the specs. So it's a Ryzen 7 3800 XT, which is a Zen 2 refresh CPU, 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM, CL16 3200 speed. For the SSD, we've got a Seagate 500GB M.2, and for the hard drives, we've got a 4TB Seagate drive and a 2TB Western Digital Black Edition. This gives us 6.5TB of total storage. Now that might sound like a lot, but for 4K video projects, it really isn't. We might need to expand to an external hard drive a bit later down the line. So it's got an MSI Ventus 3080 in. This card is nothing short of fantastic. I'm really sorry to everyone that can't get their hands on one. Although it seems like I'm rubbing it in, you are really missing out. It's also got an RM850X in, an Asus Prime X570P, which is a good motherboard, but I'm a bit upset it doesn't have an I/O shield. It has a H100i AIO, and that is of course all housed in the 465X from Corsair. This is a very interesting case because it comes with 3 LL120s and an RGB controller, and it's not much more than the pack of fans. And of course, now I've got a PC that I'm relatively proud of, it is indeed on top of the desk. After being berated in my comments again and again about it being on the floor, despite it being on some nice little wood slats, I've given up and put it up there. I was a bit apprehensive because of the space I might lose, but it doesn't feel too cramped, so all's good. It does also make cable management a bit easier because you don't have to have a big trunk of cables running down to the floor. I mean, I could have ran them up one of the trestles, but who wants to do that? It's time to talk about the monitors, and the most obvious thing you can see straight away is that I've moved to 3 monitors instead of 2. The main monitor is a Skyworth 1440p 165Hz IPS panel, and no, I hadn't heard of them either, but it does seem quite good. It takes the primary spot out of the 3 for the fact that it's 165Hz and 1440p. It seems to be a real sweet spot for gaming. And from time to time, I do still like to play FPS games, even if I get called a Brimstone one-trick. It has a few gimmicky features such as an RGB backlight and an RGB projector that shines onto your desk. I mean, I guess you can cover it up if you want to. It's a matter of taste. And the back looks very similar to a well-known competitor's. Moving on to the left, we have an Asus Vg289q. Anyway, this is a 4K IPS 28-inch panel, and I predominantly bought it for video editing and benchmarking as well. These two monitors are held up by the Arctic Z2 3D gas-sprung monitor arm. I still stand by my point that the cheap ones look better aesthetically, they're a lot more simple, but Arctic have really tried their best to hide the gas monitor arms out of the way here. They are a lot more practical in the sense that you can really move them about to exactly where you want. I'm prepared to take the sacrifice aesthetically for way more functionality. And the bottom doubles up as a USB hub, which houses 4 USB ports, and they're surprisingly usable. And last but not least, well, yeah, actually least, is the Asus Vg275. This is a vertical monitor that I use predominantly for Discord, and if I stream, I'll use it for that as well. You can see it's separated from the other 2 monitors, and that's so I can poke my camera through the middle and use that as a stream camera. Now, this being 27-inch and 1080p, the pixel density isn't fantastic, but from a distance, Discord and stream chat, it's very easy to read. You'd only probably struggle when you got to like 12-point Word documents. This is mounted to an 80cm pole with 2 Vaser arms on the top. One I use to mount a monopod from, which has a ball head on which suspends my camera, and the other one has my video light on with a softbox positioned in it. Further down that tube is another Vaser arm which suspends the monitor and hides the pole really nicely. It's a bit strange going from 4K to 1440p to 1080, but it's pretty cool having a range of reses as well. Also, now we have a cool second desk for videos, and this is the autonomous sit-stand desk. The motors are super quiet, it goes up pretty high, and it holds a lot of weight. It also feels ridiculously sturdy when at full height. I did stand on this and go up and down and wiggle about a few times just to make sure. I've done my testing, don't worry. This is going to predominantly be used as a video space, just to add a bit more interest and a different place to film in. So, well, this is what we're starting 2021 with, and I'm really happy with it as a space. My setup's nice and tidy, and it makes me feel motivated to go over there, and honestly, it hasn't been that bad spending all this time locked indoors sitting there. Moving forward in the year, obviously it's going to change, obviously it's going to update, but this is going to be a great starting point. The only thing that is definite is the fact that I'm going to have to tear all of this down and move it to a different space in around 4 months because, well, I finished university. So, stay tuned for a new studio. If you don't already, then you can go over and follow me on TikTok. I make tech and PC content over there. Hopefully you've got something out of this video, whether it be setup inspiration or just a little bit of entertainment. I'll see you in the next one.